Joining me now, House Minority Whip Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise. Congressman, fantastic to see you as always. What do you make of this move by the Trump administration to deny green cards to legal immigrants who draw from some social programs?
Good morning, Doug. Good to be with you. And frankly, if you look there are a lot of things the Trump administration has been doing to move towards a merit-based system of immigration, which I think most people want to see us do. And if you look, this isn't out of line with other things that are being done to address the breakdown and, frankly, the bankruptcy of our social network programs. All of these programs are going bankrupt if we don't fix them. What the president's done for Americans who were, let's say, some of the welfare programs where work is available for able-bodied Americans to have to go back to work if there's a job ready for you instead of being able to sit on some of those programs that taxpayers are funding and be paid not to work while you're turning down jobs. So, it's something he's been working on a lot of fronts to address the potential bankruptcy of these social network programs that are going bust because they're not being run properly, and we need to get to a merit-based system of immigration.
I wanted to just point out the use or potential use of benefit programs like Medicaid, sometimes types of housing assistance, and food stamps would disqualify an applicant, but the use of other benefits, school lunch programs, homeless shelters, even CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance Program, would not disqualify. So it's not all social welfare programs.
Yeah, and again, I mean, if you look at what the president worked with Congress on a few years ago to address some of the problems with the welfare system where if somebody is able-bodied and choosing not to work, and we're not talking about the single mom working 3 jobs. We're talking about the 28-year-old who's sitting on his mom's couch being paid maybe $30,000 a year in taxpayer benefits while there's a job that he's turning down. That's got to end as well. And so none of these can be looked at in isolation. But again, our whole immigration system is broken. We all know it. We have a crisis at the border. We also have a number of things that Congress needs to take up to address these loopholes, interior loopholes, where we're not properly dealing and giving our Border Patrol agents the tools they need to secure our America's border. So all of it ultimately needs to be focused back on a merit-based system where coming to America to seek the American dream is something that works for everybody, and right now it doesn't.
But, Congressman, the timing of it seems more political than financial, and I'll point to this. In this country, we have way more job openings than people who are unemployed. The disparity is more than a million between the jobs that are available and the number of people who are unemployed. I think it's about 1.5 million in the most recent reading. And then we also have research that's been done over time that shows immigrants and their children use less welfare than third and higher generation Americans.
Well, look, I'm glad that we have this great economy where there are more job openings than people looking for work. That's something we've been celebrating for a few years now, and it's only because President Trump worked with a Republican Congress, last Congress, to cut tax rates, to make our country competitive again, to get regulations under control, which were frankly crippling the ability for middle-class jobs, especially in the blue-collar fields and the manufacturing fields, to happen. And so now we've got this robust economy. And again, none of this can be looked at in an isolated lens, but what the president did on work requirements for Americans, not just for immigrants, but for Americans, was something that I thought was also very important to say, that if you're turning down work and you're taking welfare benefits, taxpayer-funded benefits, while these programs are going broke, that's got to be changed.
But foreigners coming into the United States or looking to come here generally have had to prove in the past that they have enough income to prevent them from becoming what's called a public charge. And the denial of visas on the grounds that the applicant could become. Let me just finish really quickly. The denials of visas based on the grounds that they would potentially become a public charge have increased significantly during the Trump administration, up to more than 5,500 in fiscal 2018.
Well, again, like I said, you can't just look at one change or one proposal isolated in its own little silo, because there are a lot of other things that the president's been doing to get to a system where we can secure our border. We've got over 3,000 people a day coming across our border illegally. Not all of them are coming here to seek the American dream. We know we have drug traffickers. We know we have gang members that are coming across. And by the way, this isn't anecdotal. We're catching them, a lot of them, and finding that out. How many others are we not catching? And so the president's been trying to get control over the border and secure America's border. I think most Americans, by the way, support that. Whether you came here legally, illegally. My great-grandparents came here from Italy seeking the American dream. We used to have a system that worked, that allowed that system to work a lot better. Right now, you've got some people waiting over 10 years to come here legally, and then they're watching every single day when 3,000 people are coming across the border illegally. Let's make the system work better for those people that are waiting the right way.
This
and by
new
the way,
rule is
if we fix that, Dagan, it won't take years and years to come to America legally if we fix this whole system. Holistically, don't just look at one isolated piece. There are a lot of other things that have been done to try to get to a true merit-based system where our legal system works again, which it doesn't.
But on the surface, because this new rule from the Trump administration targets legal immigrants who are seeking green cards, this is legal immigration, so it sends the message that, are you trying to reduce the number of legal immigrants coming into this country?
No, not at all. And in fact, the number, I mean, there is a number, over 1 million people a year we let in legally. And I think you're aware of that. And that number's not trying to be changed. What the president's trying to do is move, for example, the visa lottery, where 55,000 visas are given out a year to people randomly selected, in many cases from countries who don't like us, when at the same time we're educating some of the best and brightest here in America. And if they're here on a green card, and then their education visa expires, they graduate, they're an engineer, every company wants to hire them, we force them to leave to go compete against us. How about we shift it over again to merit-based system, where you get rid of the visa lottery and other things like that, and move over towards merit-based, same number, not reducing the number, just making it work a lot better to get back to that whole goal of coming here to seek the American dream.
One criticism for years during the Obama administration was the rules coming out of the executive branch in terms of regulation and re-regulating industries. And how is this any different? Is this something that, one, it's probably going to be challenged by a Democratic state attorneys general, but also something that could be overturned when another president comes into office?
Yeah, it's much better if we're able to work with Congress to get this done. The problem is Pelosi's made it very clear she doesn't want to address any of these immigration laws. I mean, the president, just back in December, when we had a government shutdown over funding of the wall, the president said, look, I'll put DACA on the table, which is always brought up by the left as one of the things they say they care about, when they were offered a chance to actually solve the DACA problem, to help all of those people that are here currently illegally, but trying through the DACA program, trying to become legal. We had a proposal to fix that, and they said no. They walked away from that. So it's much better if Congress is able to act with the president to fix it. But when you've got one party that's literally saying we're not going to vote for anything, it makes it hard for the president to get that done through Congress. He's looking at administrative options too. Ideally, working with Congress is the better way to do it. If Pelosi doesn't want to play ball, it's kind of hard to get that done.
I want to talk about guns in the United States, the aftermath of the shootings in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. The mayor of San Jose, California, proposing a new law that would require gun owners to carry liability insurance. Congressman, as the victim of a shooting, a man who fought for his life, your reaction to this proposal and what's going on in this country?
Look, whenever you see somebody trying to put roadblocks in front of people who are legally carrying firearms to protect themselves, is that same mayor going to propose that criminals have to carry liability insurance too? I mean, when you're only going after law-abiding citizens, I think it tells you what your real objective is. Let's focus on the root of the problem. Why are so many bad people doing these bad things, and getting guns maybe that they should not have legally been able to get because the system hadn't worked in many different places, whether it's mental health, whether it's people with criminal records that didn't get put into the system, like in the Charleston shooting, like in the Sutherland Springs shooting, where the background check system didn't even work. So again, when you see some of these people that just want gun control, they just want to put laws on the books that make it harder for a law-abiding citizen to buy a gun, then I think it tells you what their real intention is.
I'm sorry to cut you short. We've got about a minute left, but is there one new rule on guns in this country that you would get behind? I don't want to talk about proposed legislation, but any one thing that you would support?
Yeah, in fact, I just voted last year for the Fix NICS bill, a bill that actually got to the president's desk that he signed, that everybody that looks at it will tell you there were real flaws in the background check system. And again, things I just mentioned, real shootings, Parkland, Charleston, and others, where they weren't getting fed into the background check system. So people that shouldn't have been able to buy a gun were being able to buy a gun. Let's fix those problems, not go and pass bills that wouldn't have solved these last shootings, but would have only made it harder for law-abiding citizens to get a gun or to loan a gun to their friend to defend themselves. That's where the focus needs to be. There are serious mental health issues in our country. Everybody knows it. Let's focus on rooting those things out, trying to identify those problems better and deal with them better before the next shooter. And oh, by the way, you've got the next thing we can do is in the budget process next year, next month, put some real resources in the Department of Justice and in Homeland Security to go online and root out a lot of these people that are being recruited and radicalized online that ultimately become mass shooters too. We can work on that.
Yes. Congressman, great to see you, as always. Congressman Steve
Always good to see you
Scalise.
too.
Hope to see you in person next time. Take care.